Someone doesn't mean you have to tolerate their bad behavior. You are human. At some point, you get tired, and because life is treating you somewhere somehow, or you're going through the different phases of life, doesn't mean that you have to treat people like shit. It's not an excuse to get away with that. Most of the times we get into relationships or friendship, and it's like you're stuck in it. You can't leave because of the things they told you. you know you're trying to sympathize with them, you're trying to like feel with them, yet they keep misbehaving. They're very, very disrespectful. They don't even respect your boundary. Also, it is very important to comprehend somebody's perspective, but that doesn't mean that you have to accept everything they do. Yeah, I know a lot of us find ourselves in situationship, relationship, friendship. You just met someone and there's a lot they have told you about. At times when I do preach about, or when I do talk to my friends about this manipulation tactic, just it's as if I'm not full of love or I'm always very negative. These are one of the tactics people use to like get what they want. So yeah, it's okay to feel bad for that person. Maybe she lost her babies at some point in life, she never had somewhere to stay, or she's homeless, yes, but that doesn't mean that you have to take any bullshit they do. If they are constantly stepping into your space, or they are deliberately crossing your boundary, or they are constantly disrespectful, I think it's time for you to cut them off. The first thing was the zodiac sign. Somebody might even misbehave when you try to talk to them, be like, I'm Leo. Honestly speaking, that is not an excuse. And also to that person mourning, I've had a lot of cases like this. You meet people that are actually mourning, they lost somebody very dear to them, and they are extremely disrespectful to you and very rude. When you try to talk to them, they tell you like, "Oh, I'm not fine," and they really expect you to. They really expect you to be okay with that. You know, Even when you try to explain to them or to tell them how you feel, to express yourself, they think you're not a good friend. You're supposed to be there for them, you're supposed to tolerate whatever shit they are doing. Yeah, it's okay, but at some point it's too much, and I believe you can actually disagree with someone while empathizing with their point of view. Yes, it doesn't mean that whatever they do or whatever they say it's correct. No, if they step into your boundary, or if they did something very, very disrespectful, you need to tell them. This happens with friends. Like, your friend can come up to you and be like, "Please, I'm really down, can you help me with some money? I want to pay for my bills, my landlord is on my neck, I'm going to give you after like 2 weeks." Yeah, you felt sorry for that person. You borrowed uh them the money, you lent them the money. When it's time to pay, they kept giving you excuses. Now you are very persistent. Maybe somehow you lose your cool, and of course that is your money, you really need it. You start hearing them saying stuff like, "I'm going through shit. No, this is a very rough time for me. I can't really pay you this. I expect you to be no to be understanding. I don't expect you to say things like that to me." That is always the entitlement. That is not cool. This is like both ways. It goes also to the person going through stuff. If you know you're going through stuff, you have to be mindful the way you talk to people or the way you treat them. Even if it's your mom, at some point they also get tired. It's draining. Setting up boundaries and standing up for what you believe doesn't make you intolerant. No, it doesn't mean that you lack empathy. No, because if you don't do that, at the end of the day, you're going to find yourself in the same position with that person. At some point, you might be feeling like, "Nah, it's okay, I got this." No, physically, you might not see it. Spiritually, it's going to be draining you. You might not even notice it. Like, now, after some few months, you will be like, "Oh, it's okay." Then if you're that kind of person that you're very, very confident, your self-esteem is very, very high, at some point you've noticed that you become an absorber. When they come up with something, they're in need of something, that their energy, that negative energy drains you, it weighs you down. It's okay for you to have different opinions and values as long as you respectfully communicate them. You know, communicating is another problem. You might be trying to set your boundaries. What you might be saying might be valid, but the way you go about it, the way you talk to people, they might think you lack empathy, you're disrespectful, you are inhuman. You understand? So the way you can present that to your friend, it really, really matters. In most cases, you just have to sit and wait for the perfect timing when they're a bit calm and you start on business. Yeah, you have to. And what I noticed recently is once you start setting boundaries, people think you lack empathy, you're mean, you're wicked. If you don't do that, at the end of the day, you'll be the one suffering. Yes, and if you have that one friend or that one person, be it a family member or a partner, that deliberately refuse to accept your boundary, that keeps stepping on your boundary, doesn't want to accept what you're saying, regardless of the tone, regardless of how you place your words, but they deliberately and intentionally refuse to accept that. I think that should be one of the biggest red flag. Preferably you ignore somebody like that, because it's going to be very detrimental to your mental health.